The ancient whispers often called out from the depths of the Blackwood Mire, a place whispered about in hushed tones, a sprawling emerald wilderness swallowed by fog and shadowed by a reputation for reclaiming those who dared to wander too far. Locals spoke of paths that shifted, trees that watched, and a silence so profound it would drive a person mad before anything else did. For generations, tales circulated of the mire's hungry embrace, of hikers vanishing without a trace, their footprints simply ending in the damp earth, swallowed by an unseen maw. It was this chilling allure that drew Amelia and Ben, two urban explorers with cameras slung over their shoulders and a thirst for the forgotten, into its verdant, suffocating heart. Amelia, ever the pragmatist, was initially captivated by the mire's ethereal beauty, the way ancient pines towered like solemn sentinels, their branches dripping with moss, the ground a soft carpet of fallen needles. Ben, however, the more sensitive of the two, felt an immediate prickling unease, a profound quiet pressed in on them, broken only by the crunch of their boots and the distant, almost mocking caw of a raven. As they ventured deeper, the sun became a pale, smudged memory above the thick canopy, and the air grew heavy, damp with the scent of decaying leaves and stagnant water. They spoke in low tones, their voices swallowed by the oppressive stillness, a stark contrast to the bustling city they had left behind. Hours into their trek, the well-defined trail they had followed seemed to simply dissolve. Twisted roots tripped their feet, and the trees, once orderly, now crowded around them in a chaotic, impenetrable wall. A thin, milky fog began to snake through the undergrowth, clinging to the branches, obscuring their vision. Ben swore the same gnarled oak they had passed minutes ago now stood before them again, its bark seeming to twist into a grotesque, watchful face. Amelia, trying to remain rational, consulted their GPS, but the signal flickered erratically, the map displaying their location as a jumbled mess of static. It was as if the mire itself refused to be charted, its geography fluid and defiant. They pressed on, a growing sense of urgency quickening their steps, until they stumbled upon something utterly out of place. A clearing, eerily neat, where a makeshift camp lay abandoned. A small, rusty tin cup sat beside a fire pit, choked with cold ash. A faded canvas backpack lay splayed open, its contents spilled onto the mossy ground. A worn compass, its needle spinning wildly and erratically, seemingly independent of magnetic north, and a half-eaten, moldy energy bar. There was no tent, no sleeping bag, just these few forlorn remnants, as if their owner had simply ceased to exist mid-activity. A shiver traced its way down Amelia's spine. Ben, meanwhile, was drawn to a nearby, impossibly ancient tree, its trunk thicker than a small car. Etched into its bark, beneath layers of moss and lichen, were faint, intricate symbols, unlike any script either of them had ever seen. They seemed to pulse with a faint, almost imperceptible internal light, a deep, unsettling hum resonating in the air around them, too low for human ears, but felt in the very marrow of their bones. The fog thickened to an opaque shroud, swallowing the forest in a ghostly embrace. The air grew colder, and strange, unidentifiable rustlings echoed from the deeper woods just beyond the reach of their headlamps. Ben, his eyes wide and fixed on the swirling mist, began to murmur about whispers, faint voices calling his name from the heart of the mire. Amelia dismissed it as the stress of being lost, but his insistence grew, his gaze more distant, almost hypnotic. He spoke of a pull, a compelling force drawing him towards a particular darkness deeper in the trees. Despite Amelia's pleas, his eyes held a strange, wild glint. "I need to see," he whispered, his voice oddly detached. "I need to know what they want." The separation happened swiftly, terrifyingly. Ben, in what seemed like a trance, walked away from the flickering beam of Amelia's headlamp into the impenetrable wall of fog. "Ben!" Amelia cried, her voice cracking, but the mire swallowed her words, returning only an echoing, mocking silence. Panic, cold and sharp, seized her. She screamed his name until her throat was raw, ran blindly through the disorienting mist, calling, searching, her own footsteps echoing back as if from another dimension. Hours crawled by, each second a hammer blow against her sanity. The forest, once merely unsettling, now felt actively hostile, the trees closing in, the fog an omnipresent, suffocating entity. Her lamp beam finally caught on something partially buried in the damp earth. Ben's hiking boots, then his discarded jacket, then, a few feet further, his backpack. Her heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic bird trapped in a cage. Then, nestled in a patch of mud, she saw it. His camera, the lens cracked, but the memory card likely intact. With trembling fingers, she retrieved it, the cold metal a chilling weight in her hand. She pressed the power button, praying for a flicker of life, and the screen illuminated, displaying the last captured images. The first few shots were blurry, disoriented photos of the deep forest, the swirling fog. Then came a clearer image, a tall, impossibly gaunt silhouette, almost seamlessly blended with the trees, its form indistinct, yet undeniably present, observing Ben from a distance. Its eyes, if they were eyes, seemed to burn with an ancient, predatory intelligence. The next image was a close-up, a horrifying selfie of Ben's face, contorted in pure, unadulterated terror, his eyes wide and vacant, and in the very corner of that frame, a blurred, impossibly long shadow, a limb or tendril, reaching from behind him, its form a grotesque distortion against the mist. Amelia gasped, dropping the camera. A primal scream tore from her throat as she scrambled backward, tripping over unseen roots. The images burned into her retina. The mire seemed to recoil from her terror, or perhaps it merely allowed her to flee. She ran, blind with panic, the camera clutched in her hand like a cursed relic, the sounds of the forest now a cacophony of unseen pursuit. She didn't know how long she ran, or in what direction, but eventually dimly she saw the faint, comforting glow of distant headlights through the trees, a beacon of civilization. She burst from the mire's edge, gasping, weeping, her clothes torn, her mind shattered, forever scarred by the profound, ancient horror she had encountered. Authorities dismissed her frantic, incoherent account. Search parties found no trace of Ben, no abandoned camp, no strange symbols, just an undisturbed, silent forest. They called it disorientation, a tragic accident in a notoriously unforgiving wilderness. But Amelia knew. She carried the last horrifying images from Ben's camera, the indelible imprint of the mire's true nature, its silent, shifting paths, and the ancient hunger that still called out from its depths. The Blackwood Mire had swallowed another, its secrets once again sealed within its emerald, unforgiving heart, and Amelia was left to forever wonder what unspeakable truth Ben had finally found in its darkest embrace before it claimed him too.